Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Now in this video I'm going to be recapping round 3 of my recent chess tournament. Now in this game I play the white pieces against an opponent who I'm familiar with, and also he is 160 elo rated lower than me, so a draw is not going to be a good result. Now this was one of the most heartbreaking chess games maybe I have ever played, but it was a very good way to bounce back from a loss in the previous round. It was an interesting game, a very instructive game. Let's get into it. Alright, so I open up with the move pawn to c4. This is the opening that I always play. I play the English opening. My opponent decides to play knight to f6. I decide to develop my knight like this, and he plays g6 here. So now basically he's going to play this line with the g6 castles here in d6, which is what happens. I develop my knight to f3, bishop to g7. Now here I decide to play d4. Castles, e4, and now d6. Opening up the bishop, controlling the center. This is how you play this opening. And here the move for white is to play bishop to e2. To castle, you don't want to go to bishop e3, because then in some cases I think the pawn can get undefended, and then maybe you could play e5. Which is actually playable here, because it might look like a free pawn, but if you go takes, takes here, there's actually going to be queen takes d1, bishop takes, and now knight takes e4, opening up the threat on this end. You also win yourself a pawn back, and white is left with a pretty bad position. Even if you go take first, this is still not good, because if knight takes e4, also black can even play like rook e8 here, and maybe even for a line like this, which is very interesting. But I do not go for this. Instead, I do take, and now I decide to go castle. Now, what I usually would do here is go take, but since I'm playing for a win, I don't really want to go into a position that's that, like, bland. Also, it's not that good to take here. It's a lot better to play d5 or castle. Taking isn't that good of a move. But after I castle, and he plays c6, which is inaccurate, but also is just, like, a very logical move, you're stopping my knight from going here. This is bad because now I actually can take here. But after he takes like this, now I actually have bishop g5, which is the point. And after takes, you cannot take here. Actually, you can, but like rook d2, and I have a nice position. So that's actually what I should have gone for. Instead, I decided to play the bishop to g5, just developing my bishop out this way. I didn't really want to go to e3. I like to usually in these positions trade off the dark squared bishop, because it's not a very good piece. And he decides to play queen c7. Once again, a very logical move. Not trading queens, trying to get the rook over here, defending this pawn as well. Now here I decide to play queen to c2. Basically just doing the same thing as him. Now, computer prefers me to here play this plan with h3 to stop the bishop from going here. I think I considered this, but I thought that, I'm pretty sure what I assumed is that after this bishop g4, I would be pretty happy to here play just like this. And then after this bishop takes f3, I thought this bishop is a little better than it was before, and I thought I'm doing okay. But after queen to c2, he plays h6, which is bad. Now here what I have to do is play the bishop back to e3, and then I have to basically keep the bishop, not trade it off for this knight. But I decided to trade because I figured that it would be better for me to get rid of this knight, so now it's not pressuring anything anymore. And I thought if I come back to e3, my bishop isn't doing anything. Actually, my bishop isn't that bad. Like, it can go to c5 maybe. It's doing decent things on this diagonal. Maybe h6 is being threatened at some point. But instead I decided to go takes, bishop takes. Okay, and here's a very instructive moment as well. What do you play here? Because let's say you just go here. Let's say the bishop comes here, this. If you just do like this, develop the rooks here, what is your plan? Like, what are you going to do next in this position? There's not really a clear plan. It doesn't feel like there's a plan at all. Maybe you play like b4, but it always feels like black's position is just better. There's a bishop here. He can maybe attack me, and it's hard for me to like actually do anything. Like, I guess I have good rooks, pressuring stuff over here, but my bishop isn't really doing anything. The knights aren't really doing anything. And this is just a bad position for white. Which is why, instead I decided to play a great move, g3. The point is, in the future, I'm not just going to play like the rooks on this file, which I probably would have done like a year ago. Now I'm going to play g3, and I'm going to play for f4, which is, I thought, a great plan. And after bishop to g4, my idea is to drop the knight back to d2. Now, of course, if he trades, I'm always going to be happy to trade, because before on e2, my bishop is doing like literally nothing in this position. But now after the trade, I thought, here, the knight first of all builds upon my f4 plan, and I'm doing completely fine. The knight isn't really doing anything on c3 either, like it's never going to go to d5 or b5 because of this pawn on c6. So this is fine. Instead here, my opponent decides to play bishop h3 instead of take. But here my idea was simply to play rook fe1 and then go bishop f1. See, here he played knight d7, simply developing the knight. My idea here is after bishop f1, if he comes back trying to draw, I'm going to play the bishop to g2. And now, computer hates this position, but I was like, now if I ever play f5, right, there's potential that this diagonal will open up. The bishop is actually doing a kind of good job on g2. And I've honestly here thought my position was fine. Also now, if f5 is ever played, I will take, and my bishop will be open. But here he decides to take. And it's another moment here, like, what do you take with? Like, there's an argument to be made that taking with all of these moves are logical. Maybe you take with the king to keep the rook here. Maybe you take with the knight and try to reroute it over here. But I decided to take with the rook. Now, why did I take with the rook? To build up f4, because that's my plan in this position. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to try to play f4, and I thought I was going to do fine there. And after he plays knight c5, I thought for a little while about what I should do. I was like thinking about, is it okay to play f4 immediately? But I thought that now he gets like this, and he's starting this, and he's getting here, so I thought f4 was a bad move. I didn't see a need to kick the knight away right now, because, which is ultimately what I did actually. I did play before to kick the knight away, but I didn't really see a need to kick the knight away, because the knight isn't really having any threat here immediately, but I didn't really see what else to do, right? Because f4 was a bad move. And I was like, maybe I can actually just put the rook here. That would actually be a fine move. I was also thinking about maybe doing this here and trying to go for this, but now I thought he's just going to go here. So ultimately I decided to go kick him out, and now I play the knight to e2. Best move, building up f4, and here, the way that black has to capitalize on this, sizable, not too big, but like better position advantage, is to play the rook to d8. Actually, rook f d8 is better, but this is fine as well. And after rook a1, you double up. And actually, you put a little bit of pressure on my position. Like, if I play f4 here, I'm losing after this. This knight comes to d4. And if I go here, like, my position just sucks. My position just sucks there. But instead, he decides to play the knight to d4 immediately, which is not good. Because I, of course, after I take, it would be very nice, actually, if I could play c5 here, but I can't because d3 attacks my rook and my queen. So I have to do something about that. I decided to play the rook a to d1. Actually, I should have played rook a b1 and tried to play on the queen side. Instead, I was going to try to kind of play against this weak pawn, is what I thought I should do. I also thought here about playing queen d3 to block the pawn. But now I thought he can, actually no, he can't play c5 actually. c5 doesn't really work, I thought, because after like this, f4, I thought I'm just gonna go here and take the pawn. Actually, after this, no, yeah, first, sorry, then e5 is winning. But yeah, actually, it's kind of a hard position for black to play here. Well, I play rook a1, trying to put pressure on this. Next, I'm gonna maybe play knight b3. But he plays a5. He thinks for a while here, and a5 is kind of, I would say, like the only move to save his position. Computer also likes d3, But, I mean, nobody's going to play that. Also, rook f8 is fine, computer says. But basically, all of these moves, if he plays rook fd8, he's just going to be in a worse position because of this weak pawn. After I maybe play a move like c5. Actually, no, don't allow d3. After I play like knight b3, and then go like c5, this pawn is isolated, and I'm going to just go here, here, and go e5 here, and then I'm going to be able to win it eventually. But he plays a5, which is a great move. Idea is, if I go take, now he takes like this, and he's putting pressure on this pawn. Of course, rook a1 actually still doesn't work because d3 with this tactic. And here, if I do something like this, I thought, I mean, of course, I'm just going to be probably worse in this position because I thought rook e8. Rook d8 doesn't really do anything. Rook e8. And if I try to defend this pawn like this, you put pressure over here. I mean, I can't defend my position, right? Because this knight is under attack and I'm going to lose the game. So I do not take. Instead, I decide to play a3. Now, what has black done by doing this? Well, he's opened a file. Before, there was no play in this position. Like, if he doesn't play a5, there's no play because there's no open file, and he's just gonna play defending the pawn. But now there's an open file for him. Something to work with. And I can't easily challenge him for that because d3 is still a move. Here he decides to play b6. I guess he was trying to go for c5. Actually, no. I'm not sure actually why he played b6. I mean, maybe he could play... Oh, no, he didn't want to play c5, I guess, because of, like, this. But after b6, c5, I'm isolating the pawn. And here I thought I was already doing quite well. He decided to take. He also could have moved the rook somewhere, but, I mean, taking is, I would say, like, the most productive move. And I take with the queen. I thought that it was fine to take with the queen because I'm putting pressure on this pawn. Maybe I'm going to now play rook c1 and b5 as well as a move that's coming in. And here I thought that my position is doing very, very well. It's just a draw. After rook f to d8 is played, there's not much I can do. And here I actually make a mistake. Sorry, not here. Here I play b5, of course you can't take because of this. Here now goes to defend his position, which is bad because I can play b6, which I considered. But I think that I didn't do this because I thought that I didn't really have anything. I thought he could easily stop my pawn, and now I thought this pawn is going to be a weakness. Like, he's going to maybe play bishop e7 at some point. So I didn't do this. Instead, I play rook c1, which actually makes my position not losing, but worse after he plays queen a5, which he does not find in the game. And the point is, you're attacking the pawn and the knight. It's actually just a fork. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's just a fork. If I go here, the queen takes on b5. So I here have to play knight here. This, go for probably like this line. Maybe I play e5 or something. And it's still a game, but it's probably going to go in black's favor. Most likely, at least. This is going to be very hard for me to win that position. But instead he plays bishop e7. Attacking my queen. And now after I take on c6, queen a5, I kind of panicked a little bit because I realized my queen's under attack, my knight's under attack. Here I didn't really want to go for this line because I thought that after he gets the pawn, he has this passer, and I didn't really like my position because I thought the bishop is going to get activated. Usually two rooks are good. Like, if this position, I had it without the bishop and the knight, then I would definitely want to play it. But because the queen has help, I didn't think that it was going to be good for me there. But I have queen a6. The point of queen a6 is now, if you take, I take on c8, and I'm actually just, of course, winning the rook. So, you can't take anymore. And you're basically forced to either take my queen or defend the rook like this. He plays rook a8, which is the best move by far. You don't really want to do this because then I get easy defense on the pawn. If you play rook a8, I'm pretty much, I think, forced to trade. Or maybe I can play queen b7, but taking is obviously the best move. And here what I have to do is play rook b1. And the reason that I didn't do this is because I thought rook b8 here, rook a6, but now I have knight c4. That's kind of what I missed. And I'm just going to be up a pawn. Instead, I play b6, which is bad because it allows rook to b8. And here I'm winning if I play one move and one move only, which I considered, but I, of course, didn't see the win. Rook c7. The reason that I didn't do this is because I thought this here takes, but I have a fork. I missed that in that position I would have a fork. So here I would have to play this, but I still can go knight c4. You cannot take this because after I take, both rooks will be attacked. So you play like rook b5, and now the rook goes to d7, and I'm defending everything adequately. But instead I play rook c6, which is a terrible move. And after rook b6, I realized that I'm going to lose the pawn. But I also realized that I'm going to be able to win this pawn by going knight c4 and rook to d1. Now, I play knight c4, bishop c5. Actually a mistake here. Here what he had to do is play d3. That's not easy to find. I thought he was going to play bishop d8 here, but he plays bishop c5, which is bad because now I have to play e5. Another move which I think is very hard to find, like it's very hard to see a point to this move. But the point is after he takes, I play e6, and now I'm kind of isolating this pawn in this position. And here I play rook e1, and I'm actually better, according to the computer. Kind of hard to see, though. And here I decide to play rook d1. Idea is after takes, I'm just going to, accept that I didn't get what I wanted out of a position where I thought I was just going to probably be winning the game by having this theoretically drawn endgame. But a 4-on-3 is, of course, definitely playable for a win. I mean, you can win. It's not easy to win, but it's possible to win. After he took, I also thought about like maybe doing something like this, but I thought that I'm not really accomplishing anything. Like after this, I'm just gonna go like what trade, knight c4. Now I don't get the pawn, and I was like I can't do anything. So I go for this line. Here he actually I do not play e5. Oh yeah, sorry. After king here, which he plays, he doesn't take the pawn yet. Now I decide to Now I decide to play e5 to kind of prevent the king from, coming over here. But now after he takes here, I thought I'm just going to keep the pawn. Now he plays g5 here, which is, a very good move to disallow me from playing like f4. And after f4, maybe I would be better. Actually, I don't think I would be better. But if like this f4, definitely I'm doing okay. Like I can play for the win. But g5 is a great move. Now I decide to play king g2. Just trying to bring my king up. He decides to go here, threatening to take the pawn. Now I thought it was necessary to play f4. You don't really want to take it, even though it's like a fine move. I didn't think that this was good because, like, of course, here I would have rook d6. So yeah, of course, that's not what black should do. But after f4, he plays f6. And after rook d6, I'm winning. Point being, you cannot go for this line. Because I go here, here, and here sorry, don't take. Here I calculated this, and of course I realized that I'm just winning. I'm getting the pawn. And I thought, if he goes for like this line. Sorry, I go h4, and here I calculated I'm just going to be faster. Like, right? Yeah, I'm just going to, of course, get to f1 and win the game. But after king f7, I play king f3. Basically, what I thought I should do is keep the tension. But what I missed is that before you couldn't take here because the rook is hanging. But after this, you can take here and win a pawn. I'm going to get this back, of course, but I could have just taken. King takes e6, take here, here, take here even. Actually, sorry, that's a mistake. go here. But after king f5, of course, I would go like here and then f5. He's got to stop me from playing this. But in this position, like, I'm just winning. I'm going to go here, get the b pawn, and probably just win the game. Also, I could go here, and now I'm even more winning. Like, after, let's say, this here, I'm just completely winning. I don't know why I didn't do this. Completely winning king and pawn endgame. We get this line. And even though I get a pawn, king g7, I come over here, I realize that it's not enough. Rook c5, I bring the king up. Rook a5 is a mistake, however, but it's a mistake because of king h5. And I did not do this because I didn't really see what this move did. I thought after this, what am I doing? I play rook b3. And after this, I play rook f3. And after like this, I play g4 and go here. That's kind of the plan that I missed, is that plan. So instead I decide to play h3. But this move has a point. The idea is, here I thought if I played this, you might be able to go here. But actually now I can play h3 as well, obviously. What am I doing? But then you can go here, actually. That's actually, okay, now that's interesting. But my idea was that after rook a5, h3, rook d5, king h5, now if he goes here, I can go here and win the game. Which is what happens. He plays rook d5 here. And here, honestly, I think if he plays king f7, I really don't see how I'm going to win the game, actually. Of course, I have this plan, actually, which is still winning, but it's kind of hard to spot. But after this, rook d3, rook g6, which he missed, I win the game. Because after this, I don't take like this. You take like this, and the pawn is defended. And this endgame is a winning one. Absolutely heartbreaking game for my opponent. The next game was also kind of heartbreaking, even though it was very funny. I will see you guys for round 4. Make sure to stay tuned. I hope you guys had a good time, learned something, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Yo, what's going on?